Hello, welcome back. I hope you've been enjoying this insane amount of videos that I upload on Matt Walsh. This guy's just too funny. Alright, so this time we're going to be talking about his video, Woke Father's Tweet Accidentally Exposes an Awful Truth. Oh, boo-hoo. I wonder what it could be. Let's just start.
A few days ago, I hope you celebrated because our country celebrated a Trans Day of Visibility, is what it's called. The Trans Day of Visibility. This was supposed to be a time to focus on trans people, celebrate trans people, talk about the bravery and beauty of trans people. In other words, it was a day just like every other day. Our experience with the Trans Day of Visibility is like Bill Murray's experience with Groundhog's Day. It repeats.
Okay. Trans Day of Visibility is a fucking fantastic day. I love it. I get to see so much shit pop up in my Instagram feed and all over the place. It's great. It's fantastic, man. My friends will be like, hey, happy day, you know, whatever. It's cool, okay? Not like any other day, because most days I have to listen to people like you ranting about how we shouldn't fucking exist.
Forever. Nothing changes. It never ends. Indeed, there's never been a group as fractionally tiny as the trans population and yet so visible. There's never been a community so small and yet so accommodated by society.
I highly doubt that. I understand that trans people make up less than 1% of the population, and we are very well known, I guess, but it's because shitheads like you won't shut the fuck up about us, okay? You can't complain about how popular or how, like, well talked about we are, and then, like, sit here and rant about how we shouldn't exist. You know, your opinions are what make us visible. All we want is to just live our fucking lives, man.
For the sake of trans people, we've changed the English language, thrown out the rules of grammar, passed laws, effectively abolished women's sports, tossed biological science into the wood chipper. Come to think of it, there has never been a population of any size, majority or minority, that's been given those sorts of consideration.
It shouldn't. It's too stupid. I can't even, like, say anything to that. It's so fucking dumb. A lot of the shit you just said was wrong. I don't know what grammar rules we messed up. Like, if you're talking about they, them pronouns, like, you know, it works. There are no grammar rules that say that they and them can't be singular.
Most of all, we've never seen such a concerted and effective effort to purposefully increase the size of a particular population. There are 10 times as many trans-identifying people in Generation Z as there are in older generations, and that figure is no accident.
Yeah, I wonder why that is. Maybe because now we're more accepted, and so we're more willing to come out, because we weren't, like, oppressed till the fucking... What's that saying? We weren't oppressed for our entire lives, like, brutally and physically. You know, granted, you know, we still are, but not nearly as bad as if you had come out when you were, like, when Matt was a kid, or when Matt's dad was a kid, or whatever. Like, you would have been beaten to shit by your dad.
It's also not the organic result of people simply feeling more free to live in their authentic identities.
Yes, it is.
Live their truths. Now
Yes, it is.
that society is allegedly more open and tolerant than it was in the past. No. This
Yes, it is.
is rather the result of programming. Children are initiated into the left's gender theory religion. And one
Okay, so, a couple things. Again, the fact that you're saying it's the left, you're wrong. It's not a religion. I don't know where the fuck you got that from. And, last I checked, we program kids to be cis, straight, all that, all the time. So, what's wrong with that? Like, you know, I can I can program my kid to be straight and cisgender, but I can't program them to be whoever the fuck they actually are.
One Twitter thread meant to commemorate our Trans Day of Visibility perfectly demonstrates how this works. So it's worth looking at. The thread from a podcaster named Jesse Thorne has been liked and retweeted thousands of times by leftists who insist that it's heartfelt, beautiful, of course, stunning.
I'm sure it is.
In it, Jesse explains how he and his wife, who hosts her own podcast, by the way, appropriately titled One Bad Mother. Those are her words. That's her podcast title, not mine. But he explains how they first discovered that their son was a girl. The left tells us that this is a perfect explanation.
My fucking mouse, dude. Okay, I'm pretty sure you meant to say that their daughter was a girl, not that their son was a girl. That doesn't make any sense, does it?
Of the trans phenomenon among kids. And I completely agree, actually. So here's the story as he tells it, okay? He says, quote, I'm the parent of a trans kid. I want to clarify what that means as best I can, because a lot of folks don't know or make incorrect presumptions. Happy #Trans Day of Visibility. My daughter is 9. When she was born, we assumed she was a boy, gave her a boy name, called her he. We gave her all kinds of toys. She generally preferred the ones our culture associates with boys, like building toys, trucks, and robots. She hated getting haircuts and always wanted her hair long, like my wife's. But we just figured kids hate haircuts. She loved the Jungle Book, especially the part where Baloo, the bear, dresses up in a hula skirt. But what kid doesn't love that? When she started kindergarten, my wife was bathing her. Hopefully it's not the first time the child was bathed, but we'll get past that. An adult friend of ours had just come out as trans, and my wife mentioned that not all girls have vaginas and not all boys have penises. Our daughter asked, some girls have penises? My wife said yes. Whether you're a boy or a girl wasn't about your private parts. I'm a girl with a penis, my daughter said. All of a sudden, all these things that had confused us about her when she was younger made sense. We went to learn about gender and kids. I mean, I'm from San Francisco, grew up with a trans neighbor. My wife went to Sarah Lawrence. We were open, but pretty ignorant. Well, on that last point, I must agree.
Okay, so you basically just described me, except my parents went the complete opposite direction and were really shitty about it. Also, you're not funny, dude. Like, don't try to slip jokes in there to make people hate you less, because it's not gonna work.
As for the rest, I still am not ready to accept that so many people can read all of that, what I just read to you, and come away thinking, yes, well, clearly that child was really a girl all along.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of people out there who can't comprehend that, and it's really sad. You know, like, the general mental capacity of humans tends to be pretty low, unfortunately. It really is quite disappointing that a lot of people aren't smart enough to understand that she was a girl all along.
This proves it. It is possible that half of the country has literally gone insane, but I think it's more likely that lots of people pretend for political and social reasons to accept and agree with what they know is irrational and indefensible. That's one of the things that makes this subject so frustrating, is that when you're arguing with people, it's a very good chance that the person you're arguing with knows that you're right, but won't admit it.
Wait. Are you siding with us now? Because what you just said is a, in your words, leftist argument. Because a lot of the right-wing people, or a lot of the people who don't agree with transgenders, I think that's the word I'm supposed to use. Yeah, a lot of those people don't know what they're talking about, or they know that they're wrong.
Let's review the process by which Jesse and his wife Teresa came to the conclusion that their little boy had a little girl trapped inside him. He said, and this is the story that he tells. It's not me being reductive or anything like that. This is his story. He says that his son enjoyed playing with trucks and robots. So far, so normal.
Daughter.
He also hated getting his hair cut.
She hated getting her hair cut.
In my experience with my two sons, this is also quite normal.
Yeah, it's probably normal for your sons, but you're talking about a little girl here. Also, the types of toys that you play with and the length that you want your hair have nothing to do with what fucking gender you are, dude. I know plenty of girls who are bald, have a buzz cut, have short hair, or have long hair, and I know plenty of guys who are bald, or have a buzz cut, or have short hair, or have long hair. I used to have a buzz cut. I also used to have long hair. My hair is longer now than it ever has been before, but I've been all over the place.
Never known a young boy who likes getting his haircut. I didn't like getting a haircut when I was a young boy. I don't think any boys like getting their haircuts.
I'd just like to point out real quick that, first of all, my brothers, both of them, love getting their haircut. And also, in your eyes, I'm probably a guy to you, so I also like getting my haircut a lot. I just don't because I like having long hair. It's unfortunate. I think it feels good.
The boy enjoyed the film The Jungle Book. Again, my own sons can relate.
You mean the girl enjoyed The Jungle Book. You keep calling her a guy, but that's wrong.
Liked The Jungle Book too when I was a kid. But he was especially fascinated with the scene where Baloo the bear wears a hula skirt and dances around. Well,
she was especially fascinated with the scene.
What child isn't fascinated with a dancing bear in a hula skirt? Now, even if it were possible for a male...
Oops.
I've had it, dude.
Fuck, what is this?
Of all the characters I've ever done theories about...
What the hell is happening?
A few days ago, I hope you celebrated because our country celebrated.
Okay, I don't know what the fuck just happened, but whatever.
In my experience with my two... that he is just such a dragon. Behavior indicative of anything be sufficient evidence to support. Now, even if it were possible for a male child to, in some sense, be a girl, which it's not.
Yes, it is. Happens all the time. I am an example of that.
How could any of this be sufficient evidence to support that conclusion?
She said she was a girl. Therefore, she's a girl. Dipshit.
This doesn't pass the smell test even if we accept the fantastically delusional premise that boys can theoretically be girls and vice versa.
They can. Also, smell test? Okay, so you're saying that if you smell a rotten egg and it doesn't smell like a regular egg, then it's not an egg?
In no universe, this universe or the fantasy land that the left pretends we inhabit, is this boy's behavior indicative of anything other than a normal boy who has normal boy-like interests.
Right, but this is a girl we're talking about, not a boy, so again, you're wrong. And also, there's no such thing as a boy interest and a girl interest. They're just things that people like. I don't understand why liking the Jungle Book makes you a boy.
Yes, the boy said that he's a girl with a penis.
So therefore, she is.
But he only said that after his mother told him that some girls have penises.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go around saying, what's an example? I'm not gonna go around saying, yo, I'm drinking apple juice if I don't know what the fuck apple juice is. I'm just gonna say, yeah, I have this thing and I'm drinking it. I don't know what it is though. You know, kids aren't gonna know how to express the way they feel unless you teach them what it means first.
If you tell a 5-year-old boy that some dragons are 3.5 feet tall and look a lot like 5-year-old boys, he's almost certain to inform you that he is just such a dragon. What a coincidence. Kids are highly suggestible. They have underdeveloped brains. They have an underdeveloped sense of the world and reality. They can't distinguish between fact and fiction. A child at 5 can't be meaningfully accused of telling a lie because he doesn't fully understand the difference between a lie and the truth. You know, recently I came into the kitchen and I found a broken glass on the floor. And I asked my 4-year-old, who was closest by, if he broke it. And over the course of the brief interrogation, he told me that he did break it, that he didn't break it, that it was already broken, that his brother broke it, and that the dog broke it. We don't have a dog. He doesn't have enough of a grasp on reality to deceive me effectively because he's just a small child. And everything that he says, every claim that he makes, should be understood in that context. Jesse doesn't have a grasp on this basic fact of child psychology or has chosen to ignore it. Now, he goes on through the lengthy thread to describe how his son socially transitioned, quote unquote, in kindergarten.
Daughter. And don't, like, quote it as if it's the first time anyone's ever said it. It's a very popular thing. I wish I could do that.
Now, at the age of 9, Jesse is thinking about what sorts of drugs he wants to put the child on.
Good. Good. Think ahead. Yes. Thank you. Good job, Dad. Jesse, the girl's dad.
He also goes into detail about the Herculean efforts needed to protect his boy's parentally imposed delusions.
Who are we talking about? I don't understand who the boy is, because I only see a father and a daughter.
This is what he writes. We still had to, and have to, be on guard at all times. Every new care situation, camp, sports, babysitter, friends, parents, had to get a briefing. We had to check every room for jerks, because being misgendered or forced to explain yourself is traumatic for a young child.
Yes, it is.
We basically had to be the professional trainers for every set of grown-ups that entered our kids' lives. It was and remains exhausting. I can only imagine what it's like for adult trans and gender non-conforming people.
Yeah, it's really sad that so many people have their heads too far up their asses to understand that people are just people and you should leave them the fuck alone.
Now, Jesse doesn't stop to consider why an allegedly authentic identity should require so much work to preserve. If his son is a girl, why does every adult in his vicinity need to be prepped on the proper ways to address him and act around him? My daughter, real daughter, actual girl.
Okay, first of all, people need to be prepped because they're dumbasses or they're just not aware, and so they should be informed so that they can go about it the right way and then not feel bad for doing the wrong thing. Also, you can't say my daughter, actual daughter, real girl, because like that doesn't make any sense. I'm a real girl. The kid in the story is a real girl. Anyone who disagrees is a fucking asshole. And that's like me saying that you're not a real guy. You're as much of a guy as I am a girl, dude.
Doesn't need me to give a speech to every person she comes across. I don't need to explain to anyone that she's a girl. I don't need to make any effort at all to maintain her in her girl identity. That's because there's a difference between my daughter and his.
Holy shit! Did Matt Walsh just refer to the kid in the story as a girl? No fucking way.
The difference is that my daughter is a daughter.
So is the other one. I mean, last I checked, she has parents, which makes her a daughter.
The rest of the thread is a disturbing, as disturbing and diluted as what we've already reviewed.
So not disturbing or diluted at all.
But there was one brief moment of clarity, lucidity. Jesse wrote, quote, anyway, she told us her new name, Grace. Actually, she initially said Grease, but we figured out what she meant. Not the clearest enunciator back then. Ah, yes. You figured out what, quote, she meant. That is indeed the job of a child, of a parent, I should say. Children say many things and often don't know what the words that they're using actually mean. They make claims that aren't true and that they don't know aren't true. They express desires that are not really their desires. They say things all the time that begin with, I want, and a parent has to say, no, you don't really want that. You think you do, but you don't. It's your job as a parent to use your maturity and wisdom to guide your child, lead them, not be led by them. Jesse heard his, quote, daughter say that, quote, she wanted to be called Grease.
Okay, so real quick, I like to imagine that they're gonna tease her and call her Grease every once in a while because that's funny. That makes me happy to think about. Also, you don't need to quote every time you say she or daughter or anything like that. Like, how would you like it if I talked like this? So, quote, Matt said that, quote, he believes that trans people don't, like, seriously? Like, why? Why?
Well, Jesse knew that Grease is a ridiculous name. Surely he can't actually want that name. And even if he does,
She. It's she. You got it right once. You can keep doing it.
it's for his own good that you guide him to a different name. Because
God, it bugs me how many times he's misgendering this poor child.
he doesn't understand the significance of a name. He can't look ahead into the future and consider what it will be like to actually live with that name.
Grace is an adorable name.
That's why we give our kids their name. And even parents who let their children choose their names still don't really let them choose them. I mean, you'll notice that you very rarely hear about a trans child who chooses their own name and is now referred to as Dragon Ninja or Giant Pirate or something like that. I think it's odd, isn't it? all these young kids who choose their own names, quote unquote, they always end up with trendy sounding names. They never end up with the kind of name that you would expect a 5-year-old to choose.
I picked my own name. I mean, like, no one helped me. I picked it myself because everyone in my family is against being trans.
Well, that's because even the parents who let kids choose their own name won't really let their children choose any name they want because we can't let them do that because of what? Because they don't understand what it means to have a name. But if you won't let the child choose any name they want, why would you let your children choose whatever gender they want?
They're not choosing a gender, dumbass. No one's choosing that. It's not a choice, it just is.
Why don't they, as Jesse said, try to figure out what a boy really means when he says he's a girl with a penis?
I think that she means exactly what she's saying. That she's a girl.
Why don't these parents apply their superior wisdom and maturity to that situation and offer their children some much needed guidance? Well, because they see their children as political statements and fashion accessories. That's the truth.
I'm sure a lot of parents do, and it's very unfortunate, but there are also a lot more parents out there who don't.
They don't see their kids as kids. They don't see their kids as human beings. Jesse was quite excited to talk about his trans daughter on his podcast.
Yeah, on Trans Day of Visibility. Or yes, on his podcast. That is the kind of thing you talk about.
But he can't very well brag about a kid named Grease. No, he needs his son to be a girl named Grace.
Daughter.
That's much more palatable to him. Jesse, that is. More useful to him. And this is all really about him, isn't it? Well, I hope you enjoy.
No, it's not, but whatever. Okay, cool. Well, honestly, I don't really have any final thoughts on that. You guys probably all understand that that's just a whole pile of shit. God, I love it when conservatives are snowflakes and overreact to the dumbest shit like this. See you guys next time.